This is the Fantasy Roadshow. All right, we are live. I'm here joined with Billy Jones at SportsVizBJ, writing and research for Spike Week. I first caught wind of Billy. He has these graphics that are just awesome for someone that needs to see it, like visually, and just great information. Layout is great, Billy. Thanks for joining from North Shore, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Thanks for joining the show, man.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Yeah, as you said, like I'm on Twitter. I started doing fantasy like content about a little over a year ago. And I got my master's in data science, and I was like, after that was I was doing that at night, and I was like, so once that's done, what am I going to do with myself? I work for an accounting firm doing data work, but like football's more fun, sports are more fun. So I started playing with that a little bit, and then this was right around when Underdog was going crazy last year too. And so I was like, oh, there's some really cool data in this space. And it was just a really good medium for me to play with visualizations. And it seems like people like it. It's just like you. I need to see things visually to understand them. Like we can have like a single statistic and someone be eighth in that statistic, but I don't know. I need to see like a story come together. So that's what the goal of the kind of the stuff that I put out.
Yeah, I love it. I just see like patterns really well, so that's what it helps me a lot with that. Yeah. So thanks again for hopping on, man. I really wanted to have you on after seeing that. Just the presentation's great. I'll go ahead and screen share so everyone can see. Here it is actually. Perfect. Yeah. So like when you're looking at this, you're doing these weekly, correct?
Yeah, and I have it so it's like a setup template, so I just can pick literally any set of dates I want. But essentially, what this visualization is doing is showing the current ADP and then where it came from. So it's called a comet plot. I saw it at Ted Seth, really good sports analytics. Follow on Twitter, big following. Did something similar for this one last year in terms of like playoff odds. And so this I don't think it's me. Is it?
Hey, do you hear me?
Are we good?
Yeah. So
okay. Wild. Okay, no worries. But yes,
my mic in like probably 4 months. It was something that was happening, and of course, when I'm the only one on the show is when it happens. Just one of those. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. We're back.
Yeah, no worries. So I saw him doing this. Doing this for playoff odds, where they were previously and where the betting market said they were now, odds to make. And so I was like, okay, this would be perfect for best ball ADP. Where did it go? Where is it coming from? So I do that where it has like a weekly change and then like since opening. And probably as we get further into the summer, I'll probably ditch the from opening and look at it by week and then by month. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But the template is really kind of set up, and so I do it in chunks of the draft.
Yeah, so this is from open. So you could see someone like, Ben Sinnott there, just with a dramatic shift, right?
It is really cool. It's really cool to see where people started and like kind of like the whole range kind of like come together this way.
Yeah, someone that I saw steamed like crazy was Keon Coleman. I used to love him at his old ADP, and then now I'm like, I think that's all the value might be squeezed out now. And it was literally like when I first I had seen your images, and then I referred them once when I was talking to my co-host. I was like, dude, like you should see how much we were in a draft or whatever, and I was like, you should like all the value. We basically drafted Josh Allen, and of course you want to stack. So we're contemplating like Kincaid, Keon, kind of where we were going to build our bill stack. And I was like, man, like all of that value has been squeezed out of Keon Coleman. And then like immediately light bulb thought of your image and pulled it up. So super helpful. Yeah, I'd love it personally. Just the way my brain works, as you mentioned, being needing to see it. So yeah, that's just some background on how we first connected, right? I that's immediately DM'd you and was like, man, I want to have you on the show. Love you, love your work. I mean, that's just how I like to, operate, right? Connect with people that are doing really good work. So yeah, that was just a brief kind of background there. What about you? And like, we mentioned North Shore, Mass. Give us your background of kind of you personally, and then how you ended up in fantasy. I know you briefly mentioned like kind of doing it for an accounting firm, but what was like back in the day when you were first like, all right, fantasy sports is where I, is something that I love, and just sports passion as a whole.
Yeah, so I actually grew up in Georgia, but I played baseball in college in UMass Amherst. So Division I, but not. I was never going to be SEC Major League level type of talent. So it was like a really good middle ground, a very competitive baseball, but still a bigger school too. So I wasn't having to. But so it kind of just fit me so well there. And then so I was there, did the accounting degree. That was cool. I love sports. Played in multiple fantasy leagues across many different sports. But when I got my master's in data science, I was, as I said at the top, I was kind of like, what am I going to do next? Like I have this time. I can do stuff at night anyways. I'm obsessed with sports. So I was like, started doing the analytics, and then in Boston, the MIT Sloan has a really big sports analytics conference. And I didn't go to the conference, but I went to one of the networking events, and I talked to some people about pointing me in the right direction. And it's really kind of taken off. The goal is always kind of try to be somewhere in between the like very, very thoughtful, but I don't want to write 17,000 words. I want it to be more pictures, more like I could go more depthy than I do sometimes, but I don't feel like sometimes that's approachable. So we can try to meet in the middle. And I started doing myself by myself, and then the last like probably 3-4 months, I've been working with Spike Week because I've been working on best ball stuff and a bunch of different sports too. I actually think that my football was like the necessary evil to in the space of fantasy, but like I think that I am probably better at baseball or some of the other sports that are going on in terms of best ball. But it's all like they kept very much overlapping ideas of what you want to do. So I've been doing that, doing some write-ups, doing some visualizations, and it's been great to work with a team of people that are all like obsessed with this because tell my friends that I got 15 drafts, best ball mania drafts in May. My friends are like, yo, you need to go outside. And so it's good to have a community that is all about that.
Yeah, I feel that. I'm the same way. I've always been just been so all in with fantasy sports that like being around like-minded people makes you feel less crazy, or I completely understand that. So when you say you're better at fantasy baseball, are you referring to like playing yourself? Or are you saying like you said you're better at fantasy baseball as opposed to fantasy football? Are you talking about the content you create is
I think that's it. Like that's probably not the right way to say it, but it's just huge edges in the other kind of best balls. Like in football, it's much more of a known product across the different sports. There's so many different people.
Oh, edge. You're talking about edge.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Okay. I think I put in significant time into all of the different areas. I think that probably my skill set's not into like player takes. It's more of like structurally understanding how to build really good teams and then letting it be kind of just fall where it may. And let the people that do the player takey stuff, let the experts do their expert stuff, right? So that's probably my style. How I describe my style of being an analyst.
Well, we would be a very good team because I'm the exact opposite. I'm extremely like I watch every game Saturday, Sunday, every day. Anytime there's sports on, I'm watching the game, and I'm very like I just have a very like strong intuition for the game and understand like the emotional side of it, and just I guess have a good eye for talent. But that's kind of like the takey version. That's how I've compete, right? And there's going to be an edge from data analysts and people that are a lot more in tune with stats and reading the markets that way. But I'll go toe to toe with anyone. You know what I mean? Like I've been doing it for so long, and I've been so good at it for so long, and I'm like, it's a completely different style, right? So like combined with the analyst, I think it's a dangerous combo. So I'm excited to see what we do here. That being said, let's hop in, man. I want to hear like your style in terms of drafting. So when you say you're, pretty analytical, are we drafting that way all the time where you're, aligning week 17s? Here, sorry, I can't multitask. I'm trying to get this fired
yeah.
up.
So there's a couple different like big themes for me. Like I very much plan out the portfolio that I want to draft like as a whole. So if I'm going to do 150 drafts, I kind of in a tournament, I have a guesstimate. I want to do 50% zero RP and so on. I think that's important because especially
what was that? What do you want to do? Sorry.
If a large chunk of 50 or 75% zero RB or whatever you want to do, I think it's important to have some of that foresight because especially like a zero RB or on the flip side, like a more like if you're going to do robust, like I feel like those are harder to get to rather than just kind of like taking the ADP where it comes to you. So like you have to be somewhat intentional with some of them. So I do that. I'm going to like have most of my portfolio is going to be zero RB this year, and I don't think that most drafters like most people say that they like do zero RB, but I don't think they actually get there. So like five wide receivers and actually elites at the other two positions in this current market is like so doable. Like I don't know. I've drafted several 2, 8, 6, 2s, and I feel really good about some of them. So yeah, I don't know. I'm willing to lean into it pretty hard.
I love it. Let's we're gonna see how we draft together. It's an art, right? Working together and how to navigate through the draft room. So I'm trying to think of what would be the best way for you to view this. Do you want to see draft board or do you want to see this? Because typically what happens, how do I bump this for you? Typically what we do is my co-host also, here we go. So you can see this a little bit better, right? Can you still see that right there?
Yeah.
Because maybe
I've got a huge screen, so this is not a problem.
Okay. Because like, do you want to go through I usually like to see the draft board up, but I think we might have to see it play. I guess I don't know how to navigate it through where I have draft board up also with this page. If you're trying to understand, or if you understand.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It is interesting. I normally just kind of like toggle between the two, but if you're going to have one up and the other,
let's see. I guess I can pull them both up and switch which one I'm sharing. Is that how we want to do it?
Yeah, probably, because I think that'd probably be the best viewer experience too, because then you would want to see the board, but then also see the options that we have.
Yeah. See, I'm not the tech guy either, so that's why you're getting this currently.
Yeah, no worries.
I just have the takes, bro. All right, let's see. So I have both screens up. I'm going to present. Let's see if I can. Nope, stop. Extra camera. We'll try it. We'll just see how this goes. We'll see how.
Can you just have it as like two different tabs up top?
That's what I was. Oh yeah, I definitely can. Now we're talking. See you're gonna get to know my brain through this process.
I like it,
and it's an interesting one.
So you said you have some takes. I'd love to hear them. Because
let's go through what you're gonna hear them all draft for sure.
Okay.
But here, I mean, I think I'm like everyone else, I love going wide receiver heavy early if possible. That being said, like I'm not a huge Puka guy. I think all of his value is gone. I like finding the value. I like finding players who have, like, for example, like I think Bryce Young is someone that I'm targeting this year because I think he burned everyone. Everyone thinks he sucks, and his value is just so good compared to the market. Let's see where we're at now. We're at the 10 spot. So who do you typically like to go at here at the 10? We get that quick
So
turn.
growing up in
Man,
Atlanta, I have been waiting years to draft
Dirty Birds.
Falcons that are reasonable. So picking
Yeah,
Drake London has been like a big target for me at the end of the draft or the end of the board.
I
I
love.
do just like the not being like on the actual bookends of 1 or 12, but like the turns, I do find that there is a lot of advantages to be had if you can look at the two people you're sitting next to and be like, okay, what won't they do? And if
Yeah,
you know what they won't do, then you give yourself opportunity to push things around or manipulate it a little bit. So I think that like 10's a really good spot to draft from typically.
I love it. How do we? Let's see if I can do this. Yeah, now
Oh,
we're
there we go.
live. Now we're live. I do as well. I think so. You like the zero RB, right? So like Jameer Gibbs, if one of these Brees, so Bijan, Brees, Jameer, we're gonna say they're off the board for us, right? We want to go wide receiver here.
Yes, please.
Okay,
You also don't. I think you just press the X in like the. So if you go right there, press the X in the corner, and then hit
and
the
then
board. You just do it that
dude, look at
way.
I'm learning. I told you, man, I'm not techie at all. All
Yeah.
right,
So
so huge run on wide receivers early.
mhm. So there's an interesting way to play this. So if you get Garrett Wilson, then the way that you're going to sit at the 3-4 turn with Josh Allen, that's a really clean way to play that game. Then if you go on get like Drake London, the Commanders are a really clean opportunity to play later. And then
Yeah,
also Marvin Harrison is you could get him with Cooper Cup on there too. So there's like I think that those are really it's just an easy way that those are going to line up for to play those like games.
yeah, I'd love to go Garrett in London if possible on that second pick.
Hmm.
Do you is that
Let's
something
try
that you're
that.
for?
Let's try that. Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that. You would imagine someone goes Marvin just because of how sexy he is. I love
Hmm.
Drake London as well. I think he's top 5 talent at wide receiver. So it's exciting to see him get a Kirk Cousins. There goes Brown, Harrison, London. Damn.
Yeah.
Well, we tried.
Yeah, we
So what
tried.
do you do here?
So I just struggle with all of these guys that I don't feel
Same.
like that. So I think you got to lean into the wide receivers, and it's just like a whole flat tier. So I think that there's an argument for a lot of them.
See, that's why I like Gibbs here is because I think he has a huge year. But what is your favorite? Which one's your favorite here? Olave?
Sure.
Okay. Really, it's just a toss up to you.
Yeah, and like it's there's kind of nerfs on all of these guys.
Yeah.
So Gibbs, like David Montgomery's not going anywhere. Like as much as we think Gibbs is a stud. Like
Yeah.
the end
I
zone
agree.
touches are not going to be large. They're going to be at the very best. Like I don't think Gibbs is going to get all of them.
He's
So
never gonna get like that's just not Dan Campbell
mhm,
style football, right? That's never.
exactly.
So I completely agree with you there. However, I think his usage goes up pretty significantly. So I like Gibbs. I guess I was more bullish on him there because I have 0 shares of him this far.
Hmm.
I think I've only drafted like 6 teams, so we're gonna go your style and work together. But that's why I was like, holy shit, Gibbs there at 15. Um, I'll say I like the Garrett Wilson and Olave, like Ohio State connection we're building there.
The
But
stack that doesn't exist in like reality, but it exists in like
yeah,
like
yeah,
that's
love it.
funny. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Um,
But
there's
Saquon is someone that I think is interesting in the second round. So I'm like 0 RB for the most part, but I don't really like this stretch of guys, period, besides oops. There it is. Besides, like you can convince me Olave. Nico, I don't like. I think I like. I'm actually higher on Diggs than Nico, and then also you have Tank Dell, who's going to be a beast, right? Like Tank Dell's going to warrant a lot of attention, as you saw before the injury, and that's just the chemistry he's built with. I don't know. There's just too many cooks in the kitchen there, right? Like to have Nico Collins that early or as a second round pick, and I already like Diggs more. And I don't know. I guess from a best ball standpoint, it's okay because he's going to have his games too. It's just I don't think as many as Olave, despite having Carr at quarterback.
Yeah, for sure. It's like again, it's tough. Like Mike Evans is just like, okay, good, that's awesome. It's a great pick, but it doesn't feel like there's any more in the bag there. So yeah, I completely agree.
I probably go Olave, Debo, Devontae there. Like honestly, I don't. There's Jalen Waddle's another decent one, and I'm probably higher on Waddle than I am. I'm worried about Devontae. Is it going to be Minshew that probably bumps him a little bit as opposed to AOC? Do you see that the same way?
Yeah, I don't. And like the offense is just not going to be. It's going to be two tight ends. They're going to run the ball a ton. It's just going to be like they're not going to be a fun game to watch. And it's not, if you're playing DFS, I don't think that it's going to be. They're not going to be games that you want to target.
Yeah, it's defense, right?
Defense, slow it down. Like we're gonna, I don't know, just play a little bit better football than you.
100% agree. What do you like here? As you see the board, we are up in 5 picks.
So in this range, I think that I've been struggling to not take like Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts in the elite quarterbacks this year because of the way that they weren't bad last year. Like those, and they are cheaper, and so
100%.
I think that that's been something that's tough with the way that we've set up Garrett Wilson. I think Josh Allen fits really nicely.
Yes.
So that's probably what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I agree. Let's talk about someone besides Allen in case we get sniped. I love it. Yeah, there he goes.
There he goes. Yeah.
Let's talk before we. So who do you go here then?
I think that I probably take Devonta Smith, and if we can get Jalen on the other side, that's brilliant. And if we don't, then that's fine too.
Same exact thought process. I love that. I love Josh Allen. I've been on Josh Allen for years, man. I if you saw like my friend leagues and redraft leagues, he's on pretty much every single one of my teams for the last 3 years. You know what I mean? Or 4, however long it's been. And it looks like we don't do us like this, Lolo. Gosh, double sniped. Okay. So, what do we like here now?
Let's go Trey McBride. I think that Arizona is potentially a big bounce back this year, and Kyler's, I think, a huge value to me. So I think that the way that we're going to build this team, he'll fit really well.
I like that. Yeah, I was hammering the McBride train last year. I just, as you said, as I said earlier, like I watch a ton of football, so I was tooting his horn all preseason last year. I had a ridiculous share of him. My tight ends performed at an extremely high level last year. I had Laporta, McBride. Unfortunately, I had a lot of Dulcich. I liked his talent, his pass catching talent a lot.
I think he's good. He just can't stay healthy.
Yeah, and now the offense changes. So like, where does he fit in? He's not as clear cut as I was on him last year. That being said,
they didn't add any pass catchers, like really that, like, and maybe a little bit through like Troy Franklin through the draft, but I still think that he's got a role on that team.
Yeah. So last year I was all over Dulcich. I think I had like a 42% ownership of Laporta.
That's nice.
I was all over. Yeah. And that's probably why I was so successful. I think I only had 40 rosters last year. This year I'm going to do 150, but I think I advanced at a 25% advance rate because I was just hammering Laporta, So Trey McBride was in that same ballpark for me. was all over him. I just think he's such a good pass catching talent. You get Kyler back, that offense should be more explosive. Marvin is just an absolute, ready now stud, opens up McBride. So I love this pick. Let's go ahead and grab. Let's put Kyler in our queue just because that's how we're going to want to build here.
So that's 78. Can you show the board again real quick? Yeah. So Kyler at 78. I think the target is to try to get him at 82.
I agree.
Yeah. So this next turn is completely whatever you want to do. The way I see drafting an underdog is wide receivers are a requirement. You can deviate off of wide receivers to some extent, not much though. And so if you want to do that through tight end and quarterback, the zero RB build is really easy to do. If you want to do it through running back, you kind of need to push your tight end and quarterback later. The reason I also love a McBride right now because I think that he's going to own a lot of that passing offense, and you're not going to need a third tight end with him. So that's another roster spot back somewhere else. So that's one of the things I think that's not talked about enough with these elite quarterbacks and elite tight ends is you get a player back, or if you get an elite tight end and elite quarterback, you get two players back. So
I love that. So we're completely different styles and we end up at the same place. Here's another reason why I like especially going early on those elite tight ends and quarterbacks is because you get a roster spot back that you get to you get to throw a dart at running back or wide receiver, which this early in the offseason, that's where you hit home runs. Your Kyron Williams, your Pukas. I had a few Puka last year, which that wouldn't have hit until season, but you know what I mean? You'll hear Kamani Vidal, which I don't actually believe this take. I don't believe in him, but Kamani, he's already been exposed. But let's say some running back, Estime wins the RB1 job in Denver. His value from where you can get him now or 2 weeks ago compared to that news in camp is going to be, you know what I'm trying to say? You get to find those little pieces of value when you have two quarterbacks or two tight ends. All right, let's go back to the board. Your boy Pitts. So who do you like here?
I think that I'd probably stay off of another tight end.
No, I know. I was just saying that. I just saw him.
James Cook is interesting because
I do like James Cook.
He does fit that Jets Buffalo game week 17. Let's go do that.
Okay. Oops, I got to draft him. All right, James Cook. I like that. He fits the game 17 script, and he's just Joe Brady's guy. Since Joe Brady took over that offense, you saw him skyrocket. So I don't love the wide receivers here. Adunze's getting drafted too early for me this year. I do love Caleb. I think he's going to be outstanding, out the gate. But I don't like any of it's one of those situations like last year with the Chargers, how I loved Herbert, didn't love any of the receivers because of their value. We're back on the clock. What do we want to do?
I think we need to go receiver here. I like Ladd. I like Godwin. I like Brian Thomas. All fit really well. Where I'll let you decide.
I want to go Brian Thomas.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why in a second. Because I actually like Trevor Lawrence at where he's getting drafted. I want as much Lawrence as I can get at that draft price because I think he's going to have a bounce back year. I think he was I thought he was more injured than people thought. They were not necessarily hiding an injury, but that foot was, I think he was playing through some pain there, and that affected his performance last year, along with the Jags just, one of those years in the NFL. Teams go through regression, right? And I think it was just one of those years. Thomas, his upside is, he's been playing football for 4 or 5 years. He's going to have so much growth here, or he's not. And let's take a home run swing on him, right?
Well, we have, I would say our first 3 wide receivers are super stable. I love them where their roles, they're going to do well. they've proven
Great
it for
point.
a couple years. Thomas is the guy. He hit like an awesome landing spot. They have a role
Best.
for him. They have a role for him with a quarterback that wasn't. He's people are a little down on him, but he's still like one of the better prospects we've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
So he could smash. And they don't really have a guy that fits like anything that he does. Evan Ingram is like middle of the field and underneath. Christian Kirk is middle of the field underneath. Like, are they gonna like? Gabe Davis is like pretty average. So I think that he's like I think he's got a big opportunity. Yeah, I really like him.
Yeah. Okay. I like that pick. And I'm not going to say like Godwin's just, it's not sexy anymore. You know what I mean? Like he's going to be great. We already know what that offense is, and he's going to be a big part of it. And it's just, to me, not sexy right now. I wanted something there that's like Thomas opens up Lawrence, who I want to get more. I want to get more shares of Lawrence. I think those shares are going to be available all off season, just because I don't see anyone getting super bullish on them. You know what I mean? I just like to find that team that burned people last year, and their value. There's so much value sitting there. I thought someone last year, like I was all over Stroud and the Texans receivers because they were basically like last choice. They were basically where the Panthers are this year. And I was, let's actually refocus here.
Yeah.
Kyler's still there. That's an auto pick.
It's Kyler's there. Let's
we got
pause really quickly and take a look at who is got of the two people on the turn, who has Marvin Harrison.
Okay. What?
Did he go before?
He had that doesn't make any sense. Either
Yes,
of
there
it
is.
Freedom, yeah.
Okay, so we should take it. Because I was gonna see if if the 7-Eleven, the guy who had Jalen Hurts didn't had the Marvin Harrison, that's an opportunity to throw that guy around the turn and see if he's gonna dare him into go double elite. But
100%.
we now kind of boxed out that Marvin drafter, which I think was smart.
Yep. Okay. Mm-hmm. What do we like here at the turn?
I've been drafting a lot of DeAndre Hopkins. I was hoping that he was going to be a guy that was going to come back because that offense is like they just have two receivers that's going to go through, and Will Levis chucks it deep. Like, I think that fits nice. I think that probably there's a really good set of running backs here, and I like Zamir White to pair with Olave in that Week 17.
Okay, let's do that. That will be one of my very few shares of Zamir this year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a hater on him, but he had a great. I mean, when given the opportunity last season, he was great, and they're gonna try. They want to play that offense through him, right? I think he sucks.
Running backs don't need to be good.
That's true.
They just need to have the opportunity,
and he doesn't have anyone there that's gonna. Okay, yeah. I mean, no one's gonna really vulture him, and they don't have someone sitting there. They didn't draft a Bucky Irving or someone that's chomping at the bit. So yeah, good point. But he's such a north and south runner, and he's your like classic. I don't know.
It's not inspiring, but we'll take the ADP value a little bit, especially after he spiked at the beginning of the tournament. So, and then this will probably be a lesser running back team, or the swings that we're taking going forward are swings at running back because we have really good projectable volume.
So one of the swings that I like taking right now is at that spot, and is Jonathan Brooks.
Okay.
I love Brooks. I think he's just a great runner, and his skill set fits extremely well with like the Panthers and where their offense currently is. They just need to figure out, we got all these players, and we need to just like piece together an offense, right? A young offense around Bryce. So I think the opportunity for him to step in and take like a huge production role couldn't be better. And now, are they going to do it? We'll see. They did improve the line. I just think his talent is there. He would have been a surefire first rounder, and he didn't get that knee injury. So I've been loving getting Jonathan Brooks. I think he's going to be your classic like rookie running back that gets drafted in the second round next year.
Yeah, and the Brooks is a great pick. Don't get me wrong. I think that he is the type of guy we didn't really have the opportunity to select him there, but he's the type of guy.
Right.
Pat Crane's like the market's starting to get a lot better when it comes to. I gotta fix this lighting once after I say this.
Telling ghost stories, yeah.
But the Pat Crane says like the market's pretty good at like lining up the players at this point, but still there's the one gap is like the way when people like their production is going to happen, like back-weighted production, rookies that hit late in the season, a Jonathan Brooks, Trey Benson, those guys are going to hit when they take off. It's going to be later in the season and not at when the money matters. So like when that, so yeah. 1 second, let me fix this lighting.
It's bothering you. 8 picks. Trey Benson's there. I like Trey Benson. I think he's good. Jaden Daniels, your boy. Let's go ahead and just see where Trevor's at. 119.
Back. It's beautiful natural lighting. I have a window right here when it's not like brightly in my face, but
it's perfect.
It was just like
it looks perfect now. So Trevor is in a weird spot. His ADP is 119.5. We're picking 111 and 130. I definitely don't want to pick him at the 111. I don't think he's that important for us. Unless there's just yeah.
We have a single player on that. I think we're 3 picks away. If you have Aaron Rodgers queued, I think that's pretty logical with Garrett Wilson being our number 1 pick. Yep. Mike Williams fits pretty well too with that. If you're just going to say that Aaron Rodgers is like pretty good and Mike Williams doesn't stink, I don't know if you think that like Corley is a better pick at price and like, or just as a player in general. What are your thoughts there? Well, he's gone, but
doesn't matter. Do you still want to know my thoughts? I'll tell you.
After this. I want your thoughts, anyways.
I'll tell you after this.
Also, if we're gonna go, if you're looking at receiver, which I think we should be. I really like the Rashid Shaheed.
Yep.
I think that's an opportunity in that offense. Yeah.
Shaheed here.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I like Shaheed. I just don't like any of those other guys at all, to be honest. So I think we might have to go running back on the turn. Not that I am dying to. It's just because I don't see a wide receiver here that I like besides Shaheed. So I think he probably could have fell to us there on the backside. I don't know. Who do you like here? Like, do you like Mitchell? Do you Shakir and Dobbs? I'm out on both of them. I don't like Anthony Richardson as a passing quarterback, so that's why I'm out on AD. I think his talent's outstanding, but I'm not an Anthony Richardson guy.
So I think that Anthony Richardson has his place for sure in like a portfolio of drafts. If you think about what he can do.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have some Anthony Richardson. And when I do, I definitely think that AD Mitchell is the type of player who, when Anthony Richardson throws a couple long bombs, that they're going to like work well together. But I think that if he's like, also there's no real like desire to go get him unless you have Anthony Richardson. So there's like, he's a guy you could like try to see if you push him pretty hard. And if you don't get him, you don't get him.
Who do you want him here?
Because I don't know. Probably a running back.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Who do we want? Fuck.
I don't know. I think they're all okay.
God, I guess Singletary.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a Brian Robinson guy. Eckler, I think he's done. He's a shell of himself. Gus Edwards, there's just no way you run Gus Edwards 20 times a game. Like, You just don't. He's not that talent. Chubb, I don't want a single share of Chubb. I just
I
don't
don't
think
want
he's.
him. I
Yeah,
want
so
zero
maybe
Chubb.
like Tyjae Spears there would have been interesting because he's got that like big swing ability.
I
Devin
was about to say
Singletary,
that.
I would have liked if we would have looked back. I would have liked probably going Spears there.
I was about to say that. Now that we're talking this through, Spears and Chase Brown just above him are the type of guys that single week could have like explosive plays, and they probably look like there's more like those look like pretty true splits, backfields, but they're the explosive sides of the splits. So
Yep.
that's really
Yeah.
that's
I don't
interesting.
want to. I don't want to like say. I mean, what we should have done. I just hate doing that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, no, I think it's more of a good like it's an exercise on like what's available at that range.
like
Um,
with our build with Murray and McBride, do you ever go Benson there and then thinking that Shaheed falls on the back end? I'm not like huge on Javonte Williams. I think he's a good talent. It's just like I don't know that Sean Payton knows what he's gonna do right now. You know, like he's just kind of like, here are my players at camp, and let's see the cream will rise to the top. So I don't know.
I think
What are your thoughts with going like pass catcher, RB, or I guess in this case RB2, but Benson, McBride, and stacking it that way, and Kyler.
I think you got to. So this is a good question. So I am in the process of writing an article about just visualizing like correlations because people just be like stack them up, stack them up. I'm like,
I don't like that.
I'm like, there's a yes and no,
I
but
agree.
so I think that just if you were to look at the RB1 and wide receiver one on a scatter plot, just every game for the last 5 years, there is zero relationship between the scoring of an RB1 and a wide receiver one on the same team. Like it doesn't, but that doesn't mean that every profile fits that.
Yeah.
There's certain players that are going to be the rushers, and like there's certain players that can certain game scripts that are the receiving backs, and they explode together. Like, so you just kind of need to understand the role of the player too. Like, for example, the Lions, two running backs, one of them you want to stack up, one of them you don't. David Montgomery, I want no part. Not that you don't, if it's after ADP or whatever, but like that's not like a need to stack that up. But I think
Yeah.
Jahmyr Gibbs with Goff is like you need to stack it up because of how Jahmyr Gibbs is such a passing threat. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not the stacks, or it is dependent on like their archetype.
Yeah, like James
too.
Cook, you could stack him with Allen. He's going to catch some balls. All right.
Yeah.
So are we going Lawrence if he falls here, or are we looking in another direction?
I think it's a great value.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's correlated and stacked up. I mean, like, I don't know. I think that it's way too logical.
I like it. I just like him. This guy's got Christian Kirk. He's going to take him, but he's got Josh Allen, so we'll see. Let's just say auto pick Trevor Lawrence if this guy doesn't snipe him. Otherwise, what direction are we looking at?
Blake Corum is interesting to me just because if there is ever anything with a Kyren, he's going to get like 100% of that role.
Yeah.
And he might arguably be a better Kyren anyways, like the same player, but a little bit more talented. So I don't know. I'm really excited if we can get Trevor Lawrence here. Let's go.
Fuck yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
All right, Lawrence, and then all right. I want Corum as well.
Yes, that would be brilliant if we got Corum.
He's gone.
And I think that I don't know. I do feel like that there's a lot more replaceable running backs than there are. Like you needed to stack that one up correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do we like here?
Kendre Miller maybe. But that's a lot of the Saints.
It is a lot of Saints.
Marshawn Lloyd is also particularly interesting to me.
I'd lean Lloyd over Kendre here if that helps.
Charbonnet's good. I don't know any of those running backs. I pick a ton of this in this range.
Which one do you want first?
Let's do Lloyd.
Okay. I like Lloyd. I actually love Lloyd. Obviously, like Josh Jacobs is going to be a tough person to get around. I think AJ Dillon is maybe going to get cut.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I just have this think Josh Jacobs is not going to be a great Packer. I don't know why. I loved Aaron Jones. I think he's not much of a step up from Aaron Jones, to be honest. Like, I think
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Jones, I think he was like a heartbeat of that team. I have Packers regressing a little bit this year. I think they outperformed last year. Jordan Love was awesome. He was another guy I had a ton of shares of. Just the way he looked the year previous, like we had an extremely small sample size, but his composure in the pocket was like, this guy's got something. And I
Mm-hmm.
think he delivered. I had a lot of Jaden Reed as well. But
Yeah, Matt Harmon with reception perception was big on Jaden Reed last year. So that was something that I was like, ooh, I had a good bit of him as well.
yeah,
So I think that there's people like him as like the whereas I'll look into the way the tournament's set up and like historical data and all of that, but let him do his player takes and kind of that's where we'll get the best kind of combination.
I love it. I will say so that now I remember where I got ADD brain, dude. So where I was going with that take is I think that Aaron Jones, his just like style of play, he's so dynamic, fits that offense so much better than the Jock Jacobs. Like, he's not only a run it down your throat type running back, but I think that's definitely where he thrives. What in that offense, even the Raiders are going to try to do it this year with Zamir, right? Like, let's just try to get something going on the ground, open everything else up. That's like Josh Jacobs. Whereas Aaron Jones has that just let's throw him a screen pass and just let him have the ball and figure it out, right? Like whether it's breaking tackles or finding the lane, he's so good at that. So I thought his fit for that offense was so much better. And then not that that's Marshawn Lloyd per se, but I think he's just going to be a strong runner that makes plays. He's going to be what they always wished AJ Dillon was going to become. A big time playmaker through power running. I don't know.
AJ Dillon got a lot of reps in that offense.
They tried so hard, man.
And yeah, LaFleur has shown that he uses two running backs. I mean,
yeah.
I don't. Is he going to change that because Josh Jacobs has always been like the standalone guy? I don't know, but
yeah,
I personally would make the bet that it's going to be more of a committee than it is going to be a standalone Josh Jacobs. We're not going to take Aaron Rodgers, right? I think we're probably set at quarter.
No, Kendre Miller starts to get exciting that he
Okay.
fell all the way here, right? Burton is someone that I love. I'm not going to lie.
I think that we got 4 very good receivers. I think that this is going to be, and Rashid Shaheed I like as well. I think this probably needs to get to 7, and I would rather do that earlier rather than later.
Corley.
Corley.
Dude,
Burton.
we have too many week 12 buys. Look at that. 4 guys on bye week 12, and then Burton and Corley, 2 guys we mentioned here. Also, we're gonna have 5 wide receivers on bye week 12.
Yeah, I think some buys are a little bit overrated. But I think this is almost like we may get no receiver points.
Yeah.
what are you
That's
thinking?
what I'm saying. It's what do we like here?
I don't know. Do you want to go? I don't know. That's a lot of reaching. Let's just punt it. Let's go to running back or tight end.
Oh gosh, Kendre,
do it.
Fuck it, right?
Yeah. 5 good running backs. I think I'm comfortable probably being done at running back. Maybe one more if there's a really good value, but
I like it.
We should attack the other positions.
Done at quarterback, done at running back. Let's hammer wide receiver. I don't like these tight ends. I think we can afford to go with one of those guys late. Like, I don't like Kasicki. I like Dulcich. I mean, I think he's worth throwing a dart at late. So we're talking wide receiver.
Do you want to play Mims and then get Dulcich and do like quarterbackless Denver?
Sure. Might as well at this point. Like, we're kind of just like fading the public, right? With there's people are not bullish on the Saints. They are not bullish on the Broncos. I don't know if Sean Payton is just trying to speak confidence into existence for Bo Nix, or he's actually in love with them. But he is a quarterback whisperer, and if he is true, if this coach speak is true, I think Bo Nix could be a huge value. I would personally say no, just because I've seen him play so much in college, being at Auburn, and then it's just never. I don't know. I'm out on him as a prospect, but what keeps me in and wondering is the Sean Payton, like coach speak, is so strong.
Yeah, and the Bo Nix is the style of quarterback that would fit like Drew Brees light kind of style. So
that's why
it's like
why is this kind of making sense to us, right?
Yeah, but we don't want it to, but it kind of does. Yeah, I don't know. So where are we at? We have 2, 5, 6, 1. Is that what we're at? Okay.
Yeah.
4 picks left.
And we are good at quarterback, tight
really
end. We're going to go Dulcich. We're kind of can just hammer away at wide receiver.
Yeah.
To be honest, let's make sure Dulcich is on a different bye. He is. So I'm cool with going the 2 and 2, and then we got 2 stable running backs with Samir and Singletary. My sell job to you on Singletary, not that I think this is extremely realistic, but there's so much production that Saquon is leaving for the Giants. That's another guy that like I'm kind of a believer in is Daniel Jones more than other people. I'm not this like Daniel Jones has one really bad season, but like
he got hurt.
He got hurt, and those quicksand seasons happen, man. Like they just do in the NFL. It's such a tough league. Same thing with Trevor. Like I got both of them bouncing back strong. Daboll's a great quarterback coach. You finally have a wide receiver 1. He's never had a talent like Neighbors.
Oh, I'm big on Neighbors this year. So I think Neighbors he's gonna get like every bit of like 30% target share this year, and it may not be like the most beautiful, but like I don't know. Waddle had an insane rookie year, and I think that Neighbors is better. So I don't know.
I agree.
But so what you said, the running, I'm interested in like the whole like who is going to be the Giants running back 2? Like
Tyrone Tracy, baby.
Is it going to be Tyrone Tracy? Is it going to be what's the other guy's name? Eric Gray. Like I don't know.
I like the Singletary stable rushing back, and then Tyrone Tracy. He's converted wide receiver, can be that like all of that athleticism, catching ability, everything that Saquon was in that department. That could be your Tyrone Tracy, and then together you kind of just have a nerfed version of Saquon.
Yeah,
that's kind of how I see that happen.
Like you build it through 2 players.
Yeah, why not? Right?
Yeah, for sure. We're going to be up in a couple picks. Where's your brain at?
Juwan Johnson. Guy to Juwan Johnson. Too many Saints now. I don't know. I'm kind of out on Drake May, but Baker would be interesting if he was good at all. Zay Jones, again, another Cardinal. I like Zay Jones.
I like Zay Jones at this point in the draft. I mean, you just need guys running routes.
I like Jones, man. He's a stud.
He fits the stack for us. His profile of the routes that he does run will fit in this because it's going deep and it's kind of touchdown or bust. I think Jones is like the right pick here.
I think so too. I actually think he's an absolute stud. Like this 82, 823 and 5. That's going to be a lot to ask for, but from a skill standpoint, he is a talented wide receiver. I was hoping he was going to go to the Chargers, and I was just going to be hammering Zay Jones because I think his talent is like, I think he's a great wide receiver 3. I think Curtis Samuel is a great wide receiver 3. You know what I mean? So given we have the stack, I really like that pick.
It fits really comfortably.
Yeah.
And I honestly think our wide receiver room has enough juice to make it this work, like,
I
and not
agree.
need
I like
more.
this.
But
I like this team.
outside of the dumb buy thing that we kind of set up,
Yeah, which is real.
it is real.
Who do we like here?
Um,
Do we like Boyd at all? You mentioned Levis slings it.
Levis does sling it. I think all of these picks are in play.
5 seconds.
Let's do Boyd. Let's do it.
Boom. Quick draw.
That's also Jacksonville, I believe. Is that not?
I believe it is.
And so that would fit Brian Thomas. Imagine.
Look at us. Those were the right picks back to back.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I am the type of person who has all my spreadsheets up and like making sure I have everything highlighted when it all happens. So I've done some like streaming for baseball this past year, and it was so difficult streaming and drafting and correlating and stacking. At least in baseball, you're not like stacking like two sides of one game.
Yeah.
It's only like an individual team stack, so that makes it a little bit easier.
How about this? How about you and I do another one of these like July, August? Because right now you're probably thinking like, wow, this guy's just unorganized, like just kind of super casual with this draft, which I'm glad we set it up that way. But when you see me in August, I am just, it's like Rain Man, right? Like everything that we've absorbed the last 2-3 months, like my brain is just firing at a whole different level. I'm super comfortable with the draft. It's a whole different version. So let's do another draft together in July, August.
For sure. I'm down. I'm down to come
that?
on whenever. Yeah,
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Down to be around. So yeah, I find these fun. I think it's different to chat with people and do it because like the textures of the draft that you're going to set up are going to be different than what I would set up. And so on. Like I go through waves where I'm like only going to draft 0 RB, and then the other waves I'm like it'll be okay 0 RB with a little bit of the ADP falls, right? And like that's kind of what we did here, is we set it up, and then James Cook kind of fell, and we like it. Zamir White fell, and we kind of like it. So yeah, I think this has been good so far.
I agree. I like this team. The wide receiver room is just like has some real home run hitters in it.
It's the stability plus home run hitters. I think you're going to have both of that. And
stability up front, and then just like Shaheed, Mims, Jones, and then a little bit of stability again with Boyd.
Yeah. So we are going to have to get another tight end. We don't have to get another tight end. I think there's been some conversation about solo tight end, and I'm like, I'm not going to dip my toes into it. But Dulcich is, I think, what we're looking, right?
Yes. We can get him at 207. Right.
He's going pretty undrafted a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So I think that's, for sure.
So then at that, what do we want to do at that first pick? Oh, we're up next. I'll just show you the whole board.
What are your thoughts on Rondale Moore?
I like it. We need a dirty bird for you too.
It's a week 12 bye, but whatever.
I don't care. He's another big swinger, and he's a playmaker, man. Like they're going to get him involved somehow,
We have 9 receivers at that point, so let's do that.
I like it.
And then I think Kirk Cousins is going to like really lift that team, and the new coaching staff is going to like actually throw the ball around a little bit.
Totally agree.
So that's like a big target for me, just outside of like the fandom.
Rondale Moore's a big target for you?
Just the Falcons in general.
Yeah.
As like a passing offense.
Yeah, we'll see. Like, I think there's a chance that Rondale Moore ends up like stealing he could take Mooney's role. Like that's a possibility. I don't think he will. Mooney's had some drop issues with Justin Fields, but like Kirk Cousins throwing you the ball is a lot different than Justin Fields throwing you the ball. So like I do think Mooney's ability to make plays is great, but Rondale Moore, he hasn't really broken out quite yet. We've seen flashes of it, but being in an offense like with Kirk Cousins and how just like, I don't want to say stable he is. You know what I'm trying to say? How like, look at what he did with KJ Osborne. Like KJ Osborne is not at the just pure talent level, athleticism level as Rondale Moore. But he kind of just was able to learn from Kirk Cousins, and Kirk said, like almost like the Brady thing, like these are the spots we want to put you in to succeed and be a threat in this offense. And listens to him, and production trailed because of it. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I look at Rondale Moore. I think he's in the perfect spot to like learn from a guy like that and just be a weapon for him.
Yeah, I like that passing offense is going to be good. I mean, Drake London's going to fit. I love to see what Pitts can finally do. And then there's space for two other pass catchers, or at least one other pass catcher that's not a running back. So, yeah, and this, yeah, I'm looking at this team. This team is fun. I don't typically get to this few like running backs, but I think that it makes sense that we have plenty of volume in there.
I think it does too, and I think like I'm okay going thin at running back at times when you're just throwing darts late, as like if you have stable, good production, like a Zamir White, I think he's the perfect example of it. Honestly, Singletary too. We just don't know that like how much of that is going to be his right now. Zamir White, we know what the target share he's going to get. So like creating a narrative of stable backs and then high upside if a Josh Jacobs gets hurt, if an Alvin Kamara is just old and aging, and Kendre kind of takes over that backfield, like the high upside swing there, as opposed to just like, come on, even Vidal, like, you know what I mean? I just think that's such a lazy take, the Vidal steam, and I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say there, right?
Yeah, for sure. I have some Vidal, but it was like day one, and I got really good prices on him. It's like a Hayden Winks will drop an article about his targets, and they all just go bananas. And so he's one of them.
Which is fine, but you know, it's just there was no one that was fading Tank Bigsby more than me last year, and part of that is because I watch so much SEC football, and like I'm a firm believer that if you don't have a big game against, I'm just bringing a team against an Alabama, a Georgia, or an LSU, then it's like, are you like, are you as good as Travis Etienne? Like, who Trevor Lawrence's guy? Like, one of the things you'll hear me say a lot is like bringing in a franchise quarterback with one of his weapons. It just creates a sense of comfortability for them as they're trying to adapt to the speed of the league, knowing like I got my guy that I can lean on, and just kind of build that confidence together. That's what ETN is to Lawrence. That's what Jamar Chase is to Joe Burrow. So I think that like is starting to become a little bit more of a thing, is like, if we're going to invest this much capital into a quarterback, let's give him a guy, you know, and that's what Rome will be for Caleb. Granted, they didn't play together, but it's like, let's bring them in together and have that like person they can lean on and grow with. You know what I'm trying to say?
Well, that's what like Tank Dell is to CJ Stroud.
Exactly. Yeah. Great point.
And honestly, is wild. You hear CJ Stroud get on. I heard him and Micah Parsons on like whenever their podcast was, and Stroud had an opportunity to like list off his like ideal all time his offense going right now, and he put Tank Dell on it over like all of the receiver over Justin Jefferson wasn't on this, like his like receiver set. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? I'm like, he's good, but like I do have a question. Which makes him potentially the best value of the trio of receivers.
Tank,
yeah.
I know. He's the one I would draft. Yeah. So let's talk about this team real quick. Let's just break it down. Kyler Murray, Trevor Lawrence. I love both of these guys this year, so I'm very happy with how that shook out, especially with going obviously McBride early. The no running back elite to double elite approach. I'm glad that you're a fan of that because I would say I am as well. And I like how this turned out for us. James Cook, Zamir White, Singletary, Marshawn Lloyd, Kendre Miller. We already talked about it. Only 5 backs there, but we have a pretty stable, what should be a pretty stable target share in Zamir White and Devin Singletary. You have the correlation with the Jets and James Cook, so I like that we have that there. Talk about the receivers and how that kind of came together.
Yeah, so I think that the way that I see receiving is receiving production is like a requirement, and if you're not going to compete if you don't have that, so we had some deviations off of that. So we had our top 3, but we did have a decently early running back. We did have it or 2 decently early running or decently early running back, and then one in a decent still middle round. And then we went to Kyler too and McBride. So we had to kind of get there through volume, and we got there through volume with Rashid Shaheed, Mims, Jones, Rondale Moore, but they're all individually like big swings kind of guys. So when they hit, they're going to hit home runs, and that's important that they're not just like going to have like 8 or 10 point games. They may be like 18, 22-point games and then never show up again, but that's fine. We're playing basketball.
Hopefully it happened. A few of them happen on week 12 too.
Yes.
No, that was a great way to break it down. And I think that's exactly what we talked about. Like we communicated that during the draft, right? Like, all right, let's take some big swings. Now we kind of have our stable pass catchers. So to be honest, like this felt pretty good. I think we had pretty good communication and kind of get to the same point in different ways. I'm still early on where I think this was my 7th draft this year. One of them was slow. So like I haven't gotten it kind of down yet. That's why.
Are you doing any of the lower stake stuff?
I never do.
You never do?
I need to. Like I know like I should be doing it just for reps. And then also like Best Ball Mania from a data analyst standpoint is probably the worst one to join. But for just making content and kind of, for me, like, I just like it. I like the lottery ticket at the end of the year. So I don't know. I need to be doing the lower stake stuff. It's definitely like just from a rep standpoint, but also, I mean, you can talk about edge. I'm sure there's just less lottery ticket at the end of the year. I don't know what the max entries are for that, but
it varies. So the one that was yesterday was three entry $12. So that's like a decent.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not going to get boxed out by if you're not going to try to do 150 max on one of the smaller tournaments. The one that dropped today, I think, is 50 entries.
So you're playing most of those, you think?
It varies. I think that it's dependent on so it's $3, 50 entries. So you could do max the tournament with $150 dollars, which is not bad. It varies for me. Like I want to be drafting during the whole summer, but I don't want to be drafting Best Ball Mania all summer. So I have a schedule of when I'm going to do that. Which parts of the summer do I want to like lean into information?
Yeah.
But so I'm going to use it in like the space where I don't. But I also am like okay with taking breaks. So there'll be some that I'm doing. I don't know if I prescribe to the you must max a tournament, but especially with it being a $3 tournament, I feel like if I do 10 of those, it's going to keep the reps going. And what is $30?
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, you know what I just realized as well? We had our first ever listener league. We're doing a dynasty draft, and I have Garrett Wilson and Trevor Lawrence on that team. just
Nice.
like we have on our team we drafted here today. So that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Well, hey man, this has been great. I do really want to have you on. If you're, had fun and want to do it more often. I think it'll be interesting to show kind of the progression of how we become drafting together, and just like in general, as we get deeper into the off season, more reps under our belt, just kind of how that evolution looks. I had a lot of fun. Appreciate you coming on.
Down to do it again. Next time we're going to do a true zero RB build where we take our first in the 10th round.
Love that.
Okay, cool.
Let's do it. And I don't think we talked about your YouTube channel at all. I want to make sure that people head over there as well. It's at The Billy Jones Show. Is that correct?
Yeah, I do that. I go through waves. I have did baseball and streaming some of that this year. As the season gets closer, I'll probably be doing some more strategy stuff. I am getting married this year, so there's only have so much time to write content, to create visualizations, to draft my own teams. But I'll definitely be creating stuff there. And follow me on Twitter at the Sports Viz BJ. That's where you're gonna find most of my stuff.
I love it, man. I appreciate you again coming on. This was a good way to kick off the holiday weekend. And let's do it again. Let's do it again soon.
Yeah, down and hang out anytime.
All right, bro. I'm going to drop this outro. I guess I don't have to. Let's drop some outro music. All right, man.
Yeah, let me show you.